part of the program, and I'd like to ask the Governing Board Chair of ICRSAT, Nigel Poole, to give us his closing remarks and reflections on today's events and on the CRPs in general. Nigel.
Thank you very much, David. Before I start, can I actually thank you and all your colleagues? This does not happen without an awful lot of hard work behind the scenes. So thank you, David, and thank all your colleagues as well. Let me let you into a secret. David wrote to me last week and says, you're closing the ceremony, the event. I said, fantastic, anything to help. Kind of have some points to talk about. Last night I said, remember I had a speech, and I said, David, what do I talk about? He said, it doesn't matter, Nigel, you'll make it up as you go along anyway. Also, you have a guideline, you get some keys from what's happened during the morning. And as usual, David was right. It's been a very interesting morning for various reasons. Look, friends, I believe we are actually, this will be a day, in many years' time, we will look back and remember, one of those days in our lives which we remember, the day when a number of organisations came together to work differently, to work innovatively, and actually made a difference. That is an incredible thing. Now, I'm not sure I can give you words of advice, even though I've got very little hair in grey, it's grey there. But I picked up a word during the panel discussion, and that's, I can't remember who said it, it was empathy. Because success, you can do as much planning as you like, you can do as much organisation as you like, you can have as much evaluation as you like, you can have as many people sitting in offices as you like telling you what to do. Nothing happens unless the people on the ground make it happen. That's you guys, most of you guys in this room. That's the key thing. Now, we're trying to do something different here. It only works if you work closely together. And I don't know how people work together. It's human nature. Actually, I heard of the Royal Society last week. Do you know there's more genetic diversity between the male and the female sea squid than the whole of the human population and the chimps? Because really what happened was about 200,000 years ago, we started to get on two legs, and we picked up our bags, and we walked out of East Africa. Some very clever people stayed in the south of France and the nice warm places. Some turned left, some turned right. Some idiot ancestors went to the north of Europe, my ancestors. And then we started hunting, gathering. Not much happened. 10,000 years ago, man suddenly started to farm. No one knows why, no one knows how, but they started to farm. And then there has been a tremendous explosion in art, in culture, in science, and in population. With everything you do, there's always an unintended side effect. And what you're trying to do is actually solve one of those unintended side effects of actually trying to feed, what was it, 9 billion people in a few years' time. Then communication is what we're supposed to be good at as a species. Can I just please give you one bit of advice, and that is the importance of communication, the importance of trusting each other, of respecting each other, of particularly important of listening to each other. And again, all the social scientists and psychologists will point out, whichever culture, whichever language you use, communication is about 60% non-verbal. It's not by emails, it's actually by looking people in the eyes, talking to them, watching their languages, and that is critical. That will make the real success. So, let me talk a little about the CG centres. The last year, the chairs of the CGs, all 15 of us, 16 of us, because I consider Carlos the chair of the consortium, one of us, actually been working very, very hard to improve our communication, the way we work together, the way we try to make something different happen. And you can write this on paper, you can draw squares, you can have meetings. It doesn't that. It's actually talking. And I just want to give you an example of how successful this is becoming. Last night I had an email, just criticizing this, from my counterpart in ICADA, the chair of ICADA. And I have her permission to read it out to you, because I think it's very important what she's saying. And what she's saying, and I'm going to read it verbatim, so it's written English, not verbal English, etc. But it says, Nigel, it sounds as though the meetings between ICRISAT and ICADA staff for these CRPs are going very well. I think Lou must have said that. There's an excellent complementarity on which we can build as both centres and leaders of CRPs. It is also excellent that we have such strong collaboration with partners from NARS, advanced research institutes, universities, and the key donors. And you heard that in the previous session. I'm sorry to miss the formal launch of both the dryland cereals and the grain necking programs. This collective effort will also be the basis of, I'm afraid she does it, CRP 1.1, dryland systems, where ICADA takes the lead. And we look forward to welcoming you in our next board meeting to discuss inter-centre collaboration and broader CGI issues. With best wishes for the events of today, this was written last night, of today and tomorrow, Camilla. So I think that's a good example. Now, I want that relationship built between every single partner here. It doesn't matter if you're a CG. So all the partners, they've got to build that level of trust and respect. And don't believe Camilla and I don't argue, but it's that respect and trust which we're trying to develop, and that's essential. So, one more thought before I close. My colleagues in ICRISAT have heard this, and they know I use this as my way of evaluating. The rest of you, let me give you some background. I have a mantra, which is I got caught in the streets of 1968. It's a very exciting time in my life. And basically it goes, if you're not part of the solution, you're actually part of the problem. And I think that's an incredibly important guideline to go by. Some of my colleagues, Nick, every time I say that, book in a corner and say, Nigel, are you part of the problem? Perhaps I am. But I actually today have heard and am now convinced I will go away very happy and I'll write to my other chairs, colleagues, and say, I have actually heard my colleagues here, from wherever you are from, are part of the solution. So let's just say thank you to all of you, and thank you for making my day a very happy day.